you want to
Yeah.
start the plan?
Yes. So just a couple of reminders from me. I'm Amanda. Hello, everyone. The test does close this Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So go ahead and take that test before this Friday, because I want to make sure that everybody gets in and passes and gets access to Ezoic. We've had some questions around like what the test looks like, and it's 37 multiple choice questions. So no short answers or anything. It's pretty straightforward. And if you don't pass, you'll be notified via the email that you applied with this time when we start the next program. Yeah, we'll create your account for you, and you'll receive a welcome email when everything is set up after you've passed the test and we've had some time to set up your account. We are doing it manually just to make sure that you guys are all squared away. And if you haven't already, you can join the Facebook group with this link here. And any questions you have, you can direct to juststart@ezoic.com. It typically takes like 24 to 48 hours during business days to hear back. But we do have a dedicated team on the other end to help you. And in the meantime, if you're looking for answers, you can always go to our knowledge base, which is support.ezoic.com. And that's great just for like finding resources that can help you troubleshoot or answer your own questions. But yeah, that's all I have. So I guess we can kick it off.
That was a good roundup. Good roundup. Yeah, we've done a few of these already. I don't know if anyone else has been in a session before, but in the next few slides, we'll go through, I guess, some of the pitfalls. I think that's fair to say, like a few of the things that people often get wrong or don't quite understand on the upcoming test. There's a lot of questions, so we're not going to do all 37. We're going to do like 3 or 4, so don't worry about it. And then from there, we'll just open it up to general Q&A. I've got my colleague Yiota as well.
Hi guys.
It's funny that on your screen, Yiota, it says you've got my name, but this is Yiota. Because I gave you the link to join. I gave you the link to join. Yeah.
Oh, that's why. No, I'm definitely Yiota, not Adam.
Yeah, can only be one. And then, yeah, just general Q&A. So I think there's the Q&A box that you guys should all see. So anything that pops up and be about Ezoic or something hopefully related to Ezoic. If you want to know like worldly questions, I'll try my best. But, you know, whatever you want to know about, get our opinion on, you're more than welcome to. So we'll just kick off right into it. So what we've got here to start up with, now these might seem familiar if you've been reading your learning materials, and these are placeholders, these colored boxes, so potential ad locations. And this is a pretty simplified representation of what 2 different people might see, right? So we have on the left, visitor Andrew on a desktop at a particular location, let's say downtown San Diego, on a strong connection. On the right, we might have someone else. What's the person's name? Taylor? So Taylor is looking at the same website. You can see the colored boxes are different sizes, right? So on the left, we have a big 970 by 250. On the right, we have a 728 by 90 and like a sidebar instead of the under carousel 728 by 90. So basically 2 different ad layouts. And the question is, what's going on here, right? Why would 2 different people see 2 different things? And so we have a few different options and answers possible. So I'll just roll you through. So one of the answers, I'm sure one of the answers, right, is Ezoic optimizes revenue and UX on a per visitor basis. So don't worry about it. This is what the system's designed to do. That's one possible answer. B, Ezoic is broken. It's broken. I'm not seeing what I expect to see. It's broken. Someone call support, call Amanda. She told me the wrong thing. C is there was a problem with ad inventory, right? So there wasn't enough demand to show the bigger ad, so the system settled on the smaller ad for whatever reason. D is both A and C, which is an interesting one. And E is none of the above. So we'll give a few seconds just to think through. The basic question is, why would 2 different people see 2 very different ad layouts, right?
What do you guys think it is? Tell us in the chat.
We have one brave soul who has said that the answer is A.
I'm looking for the chat now. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Got a couple of A's and A's.
A couple of A's.
Kentucky says A. Is Kentucky right? I'm going to have to skip ahead to the next slide because actually I'm a bit unsure. I was saying in the last one, like one of these times, I think you should do it as well, Yiota. We should take this exam just so we can
I think we should, yeah.
We actually know what we're talking about. I feel like I'd have a good shot. All right, we got a couple of A's. The answer is A.
Yeah,
so Ezoic is
correct.
indeed optimizing revenue and UX on a per visit basis. So don't worry about it. This is what the system is designed to do. Now, Yiota, like me, we set up a lot of sites for publishers. Yeah. And there's a general rule of thumb behind placeholders. Can you share a little bit of context, Yiota, into what you try and do with placeholders when you're setting them up?
Well, so the idea is that, we have different opinions, right? What you like will be different to what I like. So the best thing to do really is to give the system as many options as possible. So that way we can cover enough bases to show the most optimal version or most optimal ad layout or ad experience on your site to please your visitor or every single individual visitor. Oh, Adam, you're on mute. I think you...
I'm muted so I didn't interrupt you. Trying to control myself. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's dynamic. So depending on the visitor, the session, the ad market at a particular time, maybe an advertiser is putting a great order for a particular ad size. And if you had a static ad layout, there's no real way to respond to those constantly changing variables. So with placeholders, what you have, like you said, loads and loads of options, and then let data decide, right? We let data decide what works well, what earns the most, what keeps people happy.
One of the examples I like to use is visiting a bus timing website. So if I'm looking up bus timings, if I'm doing that from the comfort of my home, on a laptop, I've got a Wi-Fi connection, so a strong connection, I'm probably a bit more relaxed and wouldn't mind seeing maybe a big ad at the top. Versus if I was in Newcastle where it's very rainy a lot of the time, I'm on a mobile device on a 3G network. I probably want to get to my content a lot faster than my version of being at the version of me where I'm at home, all cozy in the warmth.
And that lists off actually a good lead in to the next question, because this demand, what chooses to serve at a particular time is a question a lot of publishers ask, right? What are things that make a difference when it comes to monetization, to making money from our site? And so we'll kick off with this easy true or false. True or falses are easy, right? Well, they're supposed to be. It's true or false. Yeah, I know, right? The audience attributes that advertisers potentially bid on are no more than 40. There are only 40 things that they know about you. Do you believe that? I don't.
Okay, tell us in the chat, true or false. What do you guys think?
Got a false.
Okay.
Got another joiner as well. Welcome to the learning zone. Got a false. Amy, I want to say it's Amy. Is that how your name's pronounced? Amy? I really hate getting people's names wrong. People always mispronounce my surname, and it's kind of Yiota knows as well.
Yeah, with my first name is spelled with a silent I after the Y. So
Amy, yeah.
Amy, yeah. So I get lots of variations of my name. Yoda is a popular one.
Yoda is my favorite. Italian. So we got a false. We got one again. Brave soul answering for the whole class. That's all right. Yeah, I guess the question is there only 40 things that advertisers care about or bid on at any particular time? And we'll skip ahead. It's false. Advertisers know everything about you. No, they don't know everything about you, but there are lots and lots of different variables going on in real time. Yiota mentioned a few of them, like whether a particular user's location can impact how someone interacts with an ad layout. And the thing that there's always been kind of an imbalance, and this is like really early on, this is what Ezoic was designed to address, is that kind of asymmetrical relationship. Advertisers have all these complicated, convoluted systems to get the most value out of every single ad impression, every ideally penny that they spend. And publishers really don't or didn't before Ezoic, or at least couldn't leverage that kind of insight when, firing all this information off to advertisers. So these thousands of variables in real time that make a difference to how valuable the ad space is on a website, how many ads should be filled, et cetera. There's lots of them. And relying on a human to do that is kind of not a great thing. Yeah, difficult.
Definitely tough.
But we have, thankfully, machines that can do it for us and do it very effectively. And so again, this is another kind of advertiser-centric question. So you guys might have heard of header bidding. If you were involved in publishing like 4 or 5 years ago, it was all the rage. Everyone was talking, who's getting header bidding? Have you got header bidding? I've got header bidding. Have you? No, I'm trying. And you'll still hear it. People always default to talking about header bidding as a means of improving revenue. And this is what this question is centered on, really. So the question is, header bidding is a blank that publishers use to increase their yield. Ignore the spelling mistake, yield. And yield is basically the money you make from ads. That's the simplest way to understand yield. So what's header bidding? Is it A, a niche ad network, B, a major ad exchange, C, a programmatic technique, or D, none of the above? I might have given you a hint on the answer here. But basically,
testing for listening.
Exactly, listening comprehension. But basically, what is header bidding out of all of those options? Amy, again with the.
Hey, Amy.
I'm not going to reveal if it's a great answer yet. Maybe it's a great answer. Maybe it's not.
Amy's brave. I like it.
Yeah.
Everyone,
see if we have any more takers.
Everyone Googling what header bidding is right now. Is it an open book test? It is an open book test, right? You can just
you can
just don't have like a webcam installed and just watch people as they take it to make sure they're not getting help.
I had to do one of those kinds of exams once. It's very eerie.
Yeah. Reminds us of our Google exams. We all had to take Google exams early on, and that was kind of tough. Open book, but still tough, man.
Very tough.
Hey,
Vishal.
Vishal with a C. Okay, we've got 2 answers. That's enough for me. I'm not patient at the best times. C is, of course, the correct answer. So header bidding, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can implement it, and there's lots of ways that within the title of header bidding that it's implemented. You have things like waterfall bidding, pre-bid solutions, mediation solutions. This type that we're talking about here is pre-bidding. And basically, the simplest way to understand it is like, if you know a little bit about HTML, you know that like a web page is split up into different sections. So you have the whole HTML document, you have the body, which is where all the content is, right? Where all the written stuff is. And then you have the head of a page. And in the head, you'll have usually a script if you're doing header bidding. And that's why it's called header bidding, because it goes in the script. So before the page is even loaded, the idea is to have loads of different ad networks and demand sources that can compete against each other. And that way, the potential of the free market means you can get all these guys to compete for the same stuff and then ideally serve up the highest bidder. So that's the idea, right? You have more demand. The more demand you have, the higher ideally your returns will be. And we follow that same principle in Ezoic. We do it a little bit differently with something called mediation, which is kind of plugging in different demand sources. And Yiota, if you want to talk a little bit about mediation, how mediation works.
Yeah, essentially, if you're using any ad network, you can plug it into Ezoic so that our machine learning can test, but also it boosts the competition on your site. So very similar to header bidding, you just have a way of having external ad networks bid through Ezoic and also take into consideration it gives the machine learning options as well. So you get to utilize the machine learning from those sources.
Yeah, that's the idea. So a lot of people can plug in like AdSense if you have an AdSense account, or maybe down the line when you get one. And the idea is that, you know, in theory, the more demand you have, the better. The more different ad networks you have competing for the space on your site, the better. So by default, Ezoic pursues all these relationships for you. So when you start using Ezoic, I think we're connected last count, over 350 different ad networks feed into the platform. So you have like the big ones, premium ones like Ad Exchange, Criteo, Media.net. You know, all the ad networks you could expect are already competing for space on your site via Ezoic by default. But if there's other ones you want to include in the overall kind of testing framework, then you're more than welcome to. AdSense, for example, is a
Take
good one.
Advantage of the technology. But it goes back to the idea as well, like the more options, the better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let the machines do it.
Let them do it.
And I think that's all of the like prep questions we had. So I guess it's up to you guys if you've got any general questions about Ezoic or websites in general. For a bit of background, I've been doing websites for a long time, kind of since I got my first computer, started building websites. Still run a few. I think you do as well, right? In your time, in your non-Ezoic time.
In my non-Ezoic time.
If there is such a thing. But so yeah, we're pretty good with anything website related. Fire it away. But if you want any sneak answers to the questions
or
on the exam,
or if you're curious about how you set up your site with Ezoic after your test as well, anything like that.
So I'm gonna share here.
I think we got another. Oh, we've got the Q&A up. There you go. Oh, Adam, this one might be one for you. So, does the finance niche have a high RPM?
I mean, in general, the answer is probably yes, but at the same time, I've seen sites that are not about finance earn more than websites that are strictly about finance. We've already got a few pieces of content published on like Your Money, Your Life type content, because it's something that Google are always, you know, I don't want to say messing around with, but the algorithm around like finance sites always seems to change. So in my experience with the publishers I've dealt with, it's kind of I think in the best word, it's like not unreliable, but a bit of a shaky niche to try and get into, right? But in general,
there's a lot of competition.
There is a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And authority is really is another thing that you really need to build if you're running like a finance site, because, you know, random financial information floating somewhere underneath that no one else has ever referenced or sourced is probably not going to get you many visitors. But if you become an authority in finance, like I'm thinking people like Investopedia, right? That's probably like the top level of kind of niche content publishers. They do really well. So in general, if finance is something you care about, it's a good niche to go into.
I had a publisher recently, actually, she kind of kicked off her, I guess, financial career on Instagram. And it's not such a big site at the moment. It's getting a fair few visits, and she's just recently gone live with Ezoic, I think back in mid-August. And she's seen a lot of growth over those last 2 months. It's site growth as well as revenue growth, and it's performed quite well. But I think I was looking at the Just Start courses as well, and one thing I do want to mention is that if you've got good content, good quality content, original content, and, you know, especially organic search visitors, then it doesn't really matter about your niche. You can still perform well, especially with your EPMB, so you're earning per 1,000 visitors with Ezoic's machine learning.
Yeah, I think I'm muted again. Yeah, definitely. And Amanda's just posted a good link. I'm curious because sometimes there's too many people in these Q&As to like speak individually, but we got a handful. So I'd be curious to know what kind of niches you guys are writing in already. Have you guys got websites? Is there anything in particular you want to talk about, write about? Because there's a lot of niches out there, and I'm always curious to learn what piques people's interests.
Yeah, tell us in the chat what websites you're working on.
We have a quick question, I think, about missing reception. I think we're all recorded, right? Is that?
Yeah, they are recorded. The morning of the 21st, we have a session that was recorded. And then the afternoon, we didn't have people show up, and it was the same content as the first session. So we just nixed that one. But it is on the course page, and I'll share just like an anchor link that takes you right to the tutoring section of the course page.
Yeah. We got a question from Vishal. So he's talking about different types of content. So in one of the courses of Just Start program, I found an example of 2 sites. One with a how-to guide type of article was earning more than a review type of content. Would you recommend more how-to type of content rather than reviews? So if, I don't know, Yiota, you might want to pitch in after I've blathered on a little bit, but basically it depends on what your aims are, right? Because I know with some review type content, so for instance, I've just set up a site and it's actually really, really good. And they review basically different shower accessories. That's what their site is, right? Different shower heads, like the boxes that go under showers that do something. I don't know what they do. I guess they make the water hot, whatever. And so linked with that, they have some display ads set up, long form content, giving reviews. But the secondary way they're driving revenue beyond the display ads is with affiliate stuff. So Amazon product ads, for instance. So I would say review types of content are good if you want to go for like a hybrid monetization strategy. So if you want to drive product sales, for instance, or affiliate product sales at the same time, because some affiliate product programs are really lucrative. I'd say Amazon used to be, but they're always cutting rates as Amazon get more and more of a monopoly, they give less and less money to publishers. So I think long term, bit of a tricky one with that with Amazon, but review type content, if you're going like a blended strategy, like display ads and affiliate stuff, then yeah, probably good. But how-to guides are really Izok's bread and butter, right? And those are the types of sites that just only ever get more authoritative over time. Because ideally, what you want to write about is, and I'm sure this is mentioned in the course and it's on our blog as well, is evergreen content. So stuff that's true today will be true tomorrow, and ideally will be true in 10 years' time, right? Because then that means you can just write about it once. And as more and more people find your content, more and more people read it, Google sees that. And over time, you just get more and more authoritative in that niche. And this is how, sites that you might look at, you'll stumble on Google sometimes. You're like, how the heck are these guys first page of Google? Because they've got super outdated template and, maybe it's not even a mobile responsive site, but they've got that how-to content that is never going to be redundant, that people are always going to find. So for me, if I was going to start a new site, how-to guide. Would you agree, or would you do a how-to site?
I mean, I think how-to sites are usually more content rich, which helps with, the longevity of the relevance, I guess, and also with keywords. But my answer would be it depends really. It depends on what you're writing about. It depends what your users want. I had a site that just went live recently about toolboxes. So it's a carpenter who created this blog on the side, and he does both how-tos and reviews, which kind of they go hand in hand for him. And then he's just going to use Izoic's BDA, so the big data analytics, to see where his users are landing more, which kinds of articles have more traction, and then develop his content strategy from that as well going forward. So it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting question, but I think there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah. It depends. I don't know if that's very satisfying for people, but the answer is it depends.
Well, try it out. I think you can get review articles and how-to articles with, this, you can write about similar things, and they kind of can go hand in hand. And then you can see which ones are performing better.
Yeah.
That would be like my point too, is that like with our big data analytics, you can totally do both and check out like which one's doing better, and then kind of like make data-driven decisions. Like that's a big portion of like what we want to emphasize in these courses too, is just that like we're here to give you the tools to make better decisions based on data from your own site, instead of just like random data from other people that it's not as relevant as your own. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I like that.
Yeah. We got a wide range of questions from Amy. What important things do we need to know about EPMV? Yeah, I'll let you take this one.
Well, I guess there's a lot to. I think the biggest thing that I like to mention when it comes to EPMV or measuring your site EPMV is that it comes back down to the importance of your visitors or your users and the user experience on your site. So, if you write good content that your visitors enjoy, that they like, that they engage with, that will help with better experience. Then you bring in the ads to the mix and use the machine learning to improve the ad experience on your site. Then, improving that user experience will help with your earnings per 1,000 visitors, which is what EPMV is.
Yeah. And it's the idea of like looking at that visitor rather than a page or
that's a good point.
A snapshot in time is something that, again, like at the beginning of Ezoic, we were kind of like a lone voice talking about this because everyone was talking about CPCs and page RPMs and all those kind of three letter like initialisms that like, what the heck does that mean? We went 4 letter to make it different. EPMV is earnings per 1,000 visitors, and it's really thinking about the value of a visitor across a whole session on your website. So how can you get them to stay longer, engage with the content, bounce less, and along the way, ideally, you're making some money from ads if you're using ad test and monetization as well. So it's thinking about not just your pages in isolation, but how are people interacting with those pages as part of an entire session. And more people are coming around to this way of thinking. So you might see in AdSense now, so like session RPM, which is basically EPMV, which they added about a year ago, they added it now.
Fairly recently.
And there's other ones of those like ad shops or like ad optimization people who are also thinking more coherently about earnings across the entire session. Maybe we influenced them, maybe we didn't, but it's good that more and more people are thinking about how are things interacting with users and impacting readers, which is a good thing.
One thing I always say is that a website without visitors is almost pointless. You put effort into building a website, and we know that it does take a lot of time to build a website and a lot of effort, and you write content. But what good is that if you don't have anybody reading it, right? So the users, I think, are the most important aspect of a website, or one of the most.
One of the most.
Yeah. I think we've got another question. So it says, I've got a premium offer on my account. I have several sites under my Ezoic account. Should I get premium benefits for all of my sites with the $22 a month, or do I need to subscribe for my different individual site? It's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. Adam, are you aware of how the premium program works?
Yeah, so premium for people who haven't heard of it is basically once your site is established with Ezoic and you settled into the methodology and things are growing well, and the system can see, hey, people are enjoying this content, they're staying for a while on the website, you get the option. It's invite only, but most good websites get it to join the premium program. And it's totally opt-in. It's just an extra thing you can go for if you really want to like supercharge your website. And basically what it does, it gives you a few things. So it gives you access to like faster reporting, an API if you want to, pull that data out of Yiota and analyze it in your own systems elsewhere. So like remote access almost to Yiota Analytics if you want it. And then it does other things like we have a really good revenue ops team who go out to advertisers and basically guarantee we package up, loads of different websites. We'll go, hey, we verified these are good websites with good content with engaged visitors. And we basically curate what's called direct deals. So we link those advertisers directly to your sites. So when you get access premium, you get access to those direct deals that are made on your behalf. And it just increases revenue, basically. So the program costs money, but you always make more money back than you pay. But again, it's worth all saying this is like for way down the line, and it's all locked in.
Definitely way down the line. One of the good things is that so there's different tiers, and your plan is automatically decided on how much you're making, so you can you'll never be paying more than what you actually make from the premium program.
Yeah. So it's for like people who want it. And the answer to this question specifically is that it applies to all sites in your account. So if you have a premium, any site that you add is getting the benefit of premium. So hopefully that helps. But I'm a bit almost reluctant to talk about premium because it feels like jumping the gun a little bit. But if further down the line you get invited to it, I would recommend it. But yeah, it's opt-in. Michelle, I think Amy mentioned her site niche, which is an environmental education center, wildlife read. That's really cool, actually.
Oh, nice. That is really cool.
Yeah. Is it for any particular type of animals or just any that need rehabilitation? I'm interested. We have another question from Vishal as well. Thanks for answering in detail. You're welcome. Another question. What is your opinion on event blogging, Christmas/holiday niche in terms of Yiota ads and earnings? So again, I mean, if you can write answers to questions that people are searching for, then it's always going to do well. So if you find like a low competition, set keywords, for instance, and really focus your content around that or around an event, then by all means. I mean, my general answer to any of this, like what should I write about, what works well, what doesn't work well, I mean, Yiota basically said it earlier, it's as long as you're answering questions or giving people relevant content that they're searching for, because that's all Google, presuming you're trying to get like Google search traffic, that's really all Google is trying to do. Someone puts a query in the Google search box and they want to connect them with content that answers that question in the simplest form. That's what Google search is designed to do, always has been, always will be. And so if you're linking up that intent to your content that answers the question, and whatever you want to write about can perform very well. So if you're passionate about Christmas holidays, as a lot of people are, then by all means, get writing.
Lots of content. Yeah. The only thing I would say to that is you have to think of the downtime. So are you going to be producing content on the website when Christmas isn't happening or people aren't searching about Christmas? I know some people plan in advance, but is that the majority of people? And how that might look on the months that aren't popular for those topics. So maybe you'll be writing about holidays throughout the year, or are you happy to just have an influx of visitors around that holiday period? So that would be something that I'd say to think about.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, again, can do well. We've got Amy saying native to Kentucky wildlife, lots of raccoons. I don't think I've ever seen a raccoon in real life. Skunks.
Oh, nice.
I've never seen a skunk either. I mean, it's probably a good thing. Squirrels. We have those in the UK. Foxes.
And foxes too.
Do we have opossums? We definitely don't have coyotes, thankfully. That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Makes me all we can do stuck in, because we're still in quarantine in England and probably UK, will be for a while. So I get by watching David Attenborough and thinking wistfully about that thing called nature that's somewhere out there. But
it's actually interesting. because I went to an environmental education center in Cyprus a while back up in the mountains, and it's a rehabilitation center as well for the wildlife there. And I was walking around and reading all this information that they had and thought that it would make a good website. So I'd be really interested to see how you get on with that.
Yeah, a lot of like wildlife websites do really, because again, it's like evergreen content, right?
Exactly.
Facts about coyotes. I imagine, I don't know a lot about coyotes, but they probably don't change too often. I don't want to jump the gun, but it's probably David Attenborough is one of my favorite human beings on the entire planet. Yeah, absolutely. Vishal said he's writing about lifestyle and personal finance niche, hence the question. Right. Probably could have guessed that, right? That's really good. Like I said, that type of content can do really well. You just got to be persistent and hit the right notes. But, sure, with Amanda's help, with the Just Start help and our help, you can do that. And the wildlife blog is quite popular, lots of pics. Yeah, one of our colleagues is doing a website about zoos, which is pretty good as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just an excuse. I think it's just an excuse for her to visit zoos, but who needs an excuse? Vishal with a question. Want to take this one, yeah?
Does Ezoic support roundup posts? I read another ad network did not support this, and they asked the blogger to stop creating any more roundup content. I'm not sure I understand what you mean by roundup content. Adam, is this something you're familiar with?
Maybe like syndicated posts, or like, when someone quotes some other content and offers like a snippetry of commentary on it. I'm not sure. Maybe you mean that.
Is that what you mean, Vishal? Apologies if not. But I would just say, again, when it comes to content and posts and articles, the best thing you can do is have as much original content as possible. That's what Google favors. That's what's going to set you apart from the rest. And then from there on, use the data-driven approach to see what your visitors are interacting with.
I see what you mean. It's just clarified. I think that's a bit of a tricky one because, excuse the sirens in the background. I live close to a fire station and a police station, so nice sirens all the time. So the difficulty, or the thing to bear in mind with like roundup posts, is that the content that is published earlier is typically going to be more authoritative, right? So if you're rounding up content that someone published 6 months ago, the spiders can see in the metadata, hey, this content saying this exact same thing is 6 months older, the thing that Vishal's writing about. So then you've got to ask yourself, where is Google more likely to send the visitor? To the original content? You would hope, right? If you were writing that content, that visitors would come there, or to the newer content. Now, maybe it'll be the newer content if you add a lot of extra content and a lot of extra value to users. But again, you're kind of skirting the line. If something appears substantially similar on your site as to elsewhere, then, it's really down to, you would hope, human interpretation, but usually like a Google robot checking your site, like, is this added value or is it copying from somewhere else? And so adding that value is going to be
100%.
It seems like a shortcut. I know it seems like, hey, I can easily get these publishers to share their content with me, but you're not going to inherit that same kind of authority that you would if you wrote it originally, which is my opinion.
I think one thing that Google are quite particular about as well is if both types of content are being monetized, they don't like that. If one of the types of content is being monetized, then that's okay, but there's no way to guarantee that the other publisher won't monetize their content down the line as well. And that that can really set off alarms with Google and put you in bad standing, which is obviously not what anyone wants.
And it's a human reviewing it. You would hope it's a human reviewing it at the end of the day, right? And people make mistakes. The last thing you want is someone at Google going, hey, they're copying all this information, not realizing you've got rights, you've got permission. and all your hard work kind of comes to naught. So just write original content is going to be the safest thing. Anonymous attendee, could I request you share guidance on how we can increase our revenue and how we can set up proper placeholders, sizes for better monetizations and so on? So again, I've not taken the exam or looked very deeply at the Just Start content, but is like optimization of placeholders already part of it, Amanda, I'm guessing? Yeah.
Yes, and I'm also just pulling up a article about increasing revenue by optimizing placeholders. So I'm going to share that too, just so you guys all have that. But yeah, that is covered in the course, but this will give you a deeper dive into that information too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also recommend searching our knowledge base. I think we've linked it in the beginning, and you'll have access to the slides as well after, because there's so many articles there that can help you with just increasing the performance of your site, of the placeholders, of all aspects of your setup with the Zoic. There's a lot of information there to help.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's a good lot of questions in the end, then.
Yeah, a nice variety.
I will say, like, the one thing for optimizing with placeholders is that typically we recommend like that you at least have 10 to 15 placeholders in there. I know we cover that in the course, but just since it came up, I just want to emphasize that. But yeah, that link will give you everything else that you need to know. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can always direct them to Just Start at a Zoic. Yeah, we're here to help.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I think we answered a good lot in the end there.
We did.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tag teaming this. It was awesome to have two perspectives, but to essentially hear like agreeing things. So it's like the more you hear it from different people, the more it's like, oh, okay, that is actually what I need to be doing. So I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Oh, no, thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, of course.
And hope everyone enjoyed it. Vishal, good luck. Amy, good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Santunu, good luck. And Walter, all you guys. I think we got a couple of anonymous people. That's all right. Hope you guys do well as well. Good luck on the exam.